Speak to my 21-year-old son for a minute, Greg. You know, he's finishing college in New York in about the next 18 months. He's not quite sure what he wants to do, but he wants to work in a field that's satisfying, and he wants to get some more life experience. And maybe that means banking. Maybe that means sustainable seafood. Maybe that means opening the door on his own business and building a t-shirt empire. You know, he's like most 21-year-olds. He's finishing college and not really sure what he wants to do. If you were talking to somebody like that, you know, because it seemed very obvious to me that you had a plan in your 20s to get to where you were in your 30s to obtain the kind of wealth and success and financial stability for your family that you now have in your 70s. What's the advice you would give that 21-year-old who's kind of looking to carve out their path? You know, they don't know for certain, because I don't think most 21-year-olds do. Hey, I want to work in AI. I want to have an engineer job at Google for 10 years and then build my own tech company that's going to take over the landscape of mobile billing payment systems from a cell phone. You know, very, very few 20, 21, 22, 25-year-olds have that insight. What are some of the suggestions from your book about opening doors, unlocking those doors, getting more knowledge, and really figuring out where you want to put your life's passions towards? What are some lessons from your book you would give to, you know, my 21-year-old son?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, it's okay not to know. It's okay to be puzzled by that question. It's okay to not have that chart in front of you with all of its milestones and dates. Back in the 70s, early 70s, when I came out of college, there was a clear expectation that you got through school in 4 years, you had your career chosen, you were going to get to an employer, you were going to set your path, and then that was going to be it. And that worked for a lot of people. And it was more that it was the expectation put on them by others than it was necessarily what that person wanted to do. So I know many people that are my age or younger in the baby boomer generation that led very unhappy careers because they got stuck into this notion of expectation, and it was not their expectation. It was the expectation maybe of their parents or society or the economy or the schools and the way schools taught that you would have your career and that would be it. You can't know what you're going to really be good at when you come out of school. And I hate to tell people this, when they come out of school, they really don't know too much. I mean, they've got the book learning and the grades and the credentials, but in terms of what are you going to do tomorrow in business or whatever the career path might be, you've just begun your learning. Your learning will be your life's experience. Your learning will be your interface with all of the people and the constituents and the problems and the challenges you're going to have before you. That's where the real learning occurs. I mean, you maybe build some common sense and practical knowledge in school, and it's useful, and I'm an advocate of school, but I know plenty of people that have not finished a college education, and some that haven't even started it, that are wildly successful, not just financially, but in their personal lives with their families and their motherhood or fatherhood or their parenting and whatever it might be. And they didn't have that education. I'm a strong advocate of college education. I think that in the book, we try and convey open-mindedness and self-awareness. Open-mindedness, that any door that we may find, we get on the other side of it, there may be a whole nother world there for us. Self-awareness, that we probably are better at some things than others, and we have to admit it. And we have to find reasonable challenges and acceptable challenges, and not challenges that are so great that we can't ever achieve them. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody has their own capabilities. They have their own version of common sense. They have their own limitations. And we can't all be brain surgeons. We can't all be experts in biology. So I think we start leaning towards where our interests might be, but we also have to be practical. Unless we want to live in your basement,
Right.
we'll have to be able to make some money and provide for ourselves and maybe eventually a family and our livelihood. So I think that should be a part of the equation. We can't just live in the moment when we're getting into the job and the career and the financial and business pathway that we're going to go on. I love living in the moment. I try and live in the moment as much as I can, but we have to live in the moment in the future, in the moment ahead of us, when we have car payments and we have life insurance and we have housing bills, and we're not living in our parents' basement. And if we can get the idea that we're going to live in our parents' basement out of our head and start owning our own decisions and holding ourselves accountable for our decisions, I think we start holding ourselves accountable for what's going to happen and own it. Maybe we get a little more serious about our perseverance and what we're going to do and what's going to work. And maybe find that mentor, again, going back to people that can help us make good decisions, and then try and make the best decisions that we can. Will we make mistakes? Yes, they are our best teachers, as long as we learn from them. If we take our mistakes and brush them under the rug and say, wow, that was an odd situation, it shouldn't have happened, it happened because of this and this and this. No, maybe we own that mistake. I own plenty of them. So I think it's maybe a little different way of thinking. For me, it's kind of like common sense, but for a lot of people, it's not. And we have to kind of force ourselves on certain points to really give thought to it. And I would add, as I mentioned earlier, as we've been talking here about ego, it's a great friend. It can propel us. It can create momentum. It can also hurt us and disable us if it gets in the way. So we have to manage our ego, and we have to realize that people that we deal with have egos too. And sometimes they don't want to get rid of their egos. You don't even know if you're dealing with the real person or the ego.
Right.
Egos, having an ego talk to an ego is pointless, because nothing good is going to come of that. It's just a waste of time. But if we can be truthful to ourselves and know ourselves a little bit more through self-awareness, and then, try and build some trust with people that we can get to talk to us, where we can listen to them and build a little camaraderie and a little confidence, I think, that starts the building process of what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And living the life, whatever the life might be, and this is in the last chapter of the book. And someone said this is in a Jimmy Buffett song, and I didn't know that. But in the book, we talk a little bit about our journey to a destination, or to achieve a destination, or to achieve a milestone. And clearly, at least in my life, the journey is the destination. It's not a destination, it's the journey. It's what we did, how we lived it, how people recall it, who we touched, in what lives, and how did we touch people's lives. It's looking back and having made good choices, and hopefully living long enough to be able to enjoy that.